Joining us today from the UFC are former UFC champion Rashad Evans, UFC Hall of Famer Chuck Liddell, UFC lightweight champion Frankie Edgar, and UFC welterweight champion George St. Pierre.
Ooh. We left that one off. Switch seats.
UFC on Fox 1 had everything going for it. Primetime television, network TV, NFL lead-in. It already had millions of people watching. All Fox had to do was show us fights, and they didn't do that. Instead, they talked for almost 2 hours and aired one fight that ended in 64 seconds. And that's it. That's the whole problem with UFC on Fox 1. Everything else comes back to that very strange decision. So I've been a UFC fan since about, I want to say 2008. I still remember watching Keith Jardine versus Chuck Liddell on UFC Unleashed, right after Mansters and right before 1,000 Ways to Die on Spike TV. So in 2011, I was 16 years old, and I was excited. I was watching UFC on Fox 1, because for the first time ever, UFC was just on regular TV. There was always, watching UFC Unleashed, where they would give you a few select fights, catching a random fight night on Versus TV, or watching other shows like Elite XC, which is actually the first MMA event to be shown on network television, which is a whole can of worms we'll dig into later. But yeah, it felt huge watching UFC on Fox. But it also felt weird, because what was going on? Why are they talking? When are they going to start fighting? And I remember being just excited and confused and just like, what's going on? What the hell is this? Like, looking back at it now, it's clear what they were trying to do. They were treating the UFC like it was the NFL. So they had a bunch of talking heads, a bunch of explanations. They had people explaining the rules of MMA. There was a lot of explaining that, oh yeah, this isn't like WWE. This is real, which, is always a great sign when you have to tell people, no, this isn't bullshit. We're legitimate. That definitely screams of legitimacy. Like, from just the moment the broadcast started, it all felt so weird. Joe Rogan kicked it off, and it was the weirdest thing.
I'd like to introduce the distinguished executives who we have available to make today's historic announcement and answer your questions. David Hill, chairman of Fox Sports. Eric Shanks, co-president and COO, Fox Sports Media Group. Dana White, president of the UFC. Lorenzo Fertitta, chairman and CEO of the UFC. John Landgraf.
Rogan, who is the voice of UFC for a lot of people, sounded uncharacteristically, reserved, awkward. He stumbled through a lot of words. It was just a lot of awkward silence and body language. And it wasn't a huge deal at the time, but looking back, it definitely set the tone for what the rest of the night was going to look like. So instead of showing MMA, they talked about MMA. They told you what MMA was and the rules. And while all this is going on, the fights are on Facebook. They're showing on Facebook. And I don't remember them saying that one time during the broadcast. I certainly didn't know, so I missed the fight. I missed the entire card. I was like, oh, this is all leading up to the cards, right? To the prelims and then the main card and then this. No, they were all happening simultaneously. So then after nearly 2 hours of them talking about MMA and, explaining the rules over and over again and telling you that they're legitimate, finally it cut to the cage. It cut to Junior Dos Santos and Cain Velasquez entering the cage. And, I was like, oh, wait, this is the last fight. What the hell happened to the rest of the card? Was it only just one fight?
Big shot! He's big right hand by Junior Dos Santos! He's hurt! He's hurt!
And then the fight happens. There's a couple of early exchanges, and then Junior Dos Santos knocks out Cain Velasquez in 64 seconds, which after just 2 hours of nothing kind of feels a little anticlimactic, even for hardcore fans. I was bummed out because I was a huge fan of Cain Velasquez. I can only imagine what the average guy coming in from the NFL after sitting through 2 hours of people talking, seeing this. You think he came back for UFC on Fox 2? I don't think so, and the numbers reflect that. There's 3 million less people watching UFC on Fox 2 than there was UFC on Fox 1. Which, granted, it could be, it's not the same spectacle anymore. It could have been, the fights weren't as high profile. But you gotta admit, the decision to only air one fight that ended in 60 seconds probably drove away more than a couple people. Granted, the UFC is doing fine right now. They're still one of the most popular sports in the world, so in the long run, it didn't really affect them all that much. So, what exactly led to this baffling decision? The honest answer is, we don't know. We can speculate. We could, it could be network executives thinking fans are too stupid to understand, people being punched in the face without having to be told, hey, these people are getting punched in the face and this is how many points you get for it. It could be a bad taste in network television's mouth from Elite XC having an event that had a lot of controversy attached to it. It could be network executives being afraid of exposing, families in prime time to a lot of blood and violence right off the bat. We really don't know. We can only speculate and assume on what happened. But all we can say is UFC on Fox 1 was really weird. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around and watching my channel. This was a lot of fun to record. I like just being able to talk about things that I don't have a chance to talk about with other people. UFC on Fox 1 has always been a big thing that I've wanted to talk about, and it just never had the chance to bring it up in casual conversation because no one else really gives a fuck. And if you stumbled across this video and heard me just rant and vent, I know it wasn't a deep dive into that. It's not what this was. This was just me talking about some weird experience that I had and I wanted to share it. Maybe I could do some deep dives. Just give me some time to do some research and stuff like that. But thank you guys for checking it out. If there's anybody out there at all, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.